What is happening, everybody? This is Imaginary Watcher, and today we're back with another WoA video. This time, it's another one. It's another unscripted video where I'm going to basically go through and read an influential, controversial Twitter post made by Anxient. I don't know them very well, but I do know that they're an influential figure in the Wuthering Waves Twitter community, and they've made a lot of good lore posts. They've made a lot of good meme content. They're basically a very well-known figure in the Wuthering Waves community on Twitter, and they probably also have YouTube. I'm not sure. Again, I don't really know them that well, but I've seen the post, and I wanted to say like my opinion on it and my take on it, because this raises a few good points and a few controversial points, and it's got a lot of traction going through the social media app. And at first I was going to make a Twitter post. I was just going to make a Twitter post. I was just going to reply to it and just share my opinion there. And I thought maybe this requires a little bit more of a talk, since I've seen it elsewhere too. Like, there are some points raised that are also elsewhere, and like a lot of people share their opinions. So I thought maybe I should turn this into a video so that I get to speak my opinion more freely and more like emphasize it a bit better. So, without any further ado, let's take a look at the opinion. Here we go. Okay, here we are. So, Mr. Anxient, let's just make sure. I'm just gonna follow them right now, and I don't think they gave us a... Well, he's a WoA lore enthusiast, freelance illustrator, and Nice Nature's #1 fan. Yeah, so, let's check this. My feedback for 2.6. Normally this would be where I suggest quality of lives, but instead I'll criticize the management of characters and the handling of the story thus far. Because while yes, it's good, it's also walking straight off a cliff if no one brings it up properly. Alright. Well, I kinda already disagree, because I think saying that it's walking off a cliff would imply that it's getting really bad. It isn't. I don't think it is at all. In fact, we've been demanding that characters get more screen time. We get more character focused stories, and we've been getting that recently. We got Frodova's, we got Augustas, we got Iuno's stories, and they've been all just focused on the character themselves rather than an actual world quests. For example, what happened with for example, in 2.0, it was mostly focused around the Order of the Deep and about Carlotta and about how she they build trust with Rover, etc. But let's just go through this and see. So, story. I would like to bring forward attention regarding the severe mishandling of characters in recent story quests. While this has always been the case in prior story quests since Jinshi, in version 1.1, it has become impossible to ignore due to consistency of this issue. I fear that without intervention, it will spiral out of control. It already has. I would like to bring forward attention regarding the severe mishandling of characters in recent story quests. While this has already been the case, okay, so says Jinshi. In version 1.1, it has become impossible to ignore. So you're saying that there has been a severe mishandling of characters in recent story quests, and since Jinshi. I don't think so. I don't think so. How is that? Since Jinshi, what happened in Jinshi in 1.1? That she was, I'm guessing this, his point is that she doesn't appear afterwards. But I'm pretty sure the story made it very clear that there was a reason why she's not appearing anymore. Right? We went straight from, Jinzhou to the Black Shores after that, and we really didn't come back to Jinzhou for, a major story quest, and, she's the magistrate. Obviously, she's not gonna just clear her time all the time for Rover's stuff. You're always gonna have something else to do, and I'm pretty sure they've given her a bunch of material outside the game and inside the game as well, since she got the skin There was like a date with Rover and stuff. It wasn't really like she didn't just disappear from the story completely. She was also present in newer events. Like no, like I remember she was even in the QB event. She was yeah, like she did appear like after her patch. It wasn't just like appear once and then disappear. Chang-Li, I'm pretty sure was shown in like a hologram in the story, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure. I might just be making this up. I'm pretty sure Chang-Li also got like shown after her patch at least once or twice. And she was also in the QB event, and she has been mentioned by Cantarella, like as well, at least implied to be, but like mentioned by Cantarella, which was then later confirmed in the QB event. If you pay attention, that it's her is that she is the resonator that like has contacts with Cantarella. And also we must we must not forget that like the one long arc is not over yet, and like we're only like out of it for like a while, and we're going to go back to Huanlong. Yeah, let's just go back and let's just continue reading. Simply put, characters who aren't rate up resonators feel like they do not exist outside of their debut match. I could not agree. I could not disagree any further, because they don't show up in stories, they don't show up in limited time events, and even if they do, they're obscured. They don't appear in the overworld either, outside of the small anecdotes ruin random things. I mean, that's better than what most other gacha games do. You're like it's better. Like let's start with the first one. Let's go one by one. Simply put, characters who aren't rate up resonators feel like they do not exist outside of their debut patch. Well, I mean, we've seen Carlotta in Shakona's patch. We've seen who else? We've seen Zanni in Forlova's patch. We've seen well, who else did we see? Let me think. We've seen Kantara. We've seen like obviously it was the Cartethia's debut wasn't even on her patch. Like same with Iuno and Augusta, who were shown in Lupa's patch. And like it's not true. This statement is just not true. At least not recently. And even in the past, like we've seen like in 1.1, like Showkeeper was in 2.0. Like she was there. Like we had to go through her, and we had to go through Alto to get to the Inashida. And it's like clear. I mean, I do agree. Here's what I think. Here's the thing. I do agree that I wish the older characters remained in like showed up more often, and they did like other things like they in the story that are like, impactful, for example. But I don't think that giving them too much of a highlights makes sense. Neither because it's a gacha game in the end, right? We have to like there has to be like a focus on the rate up resonator if you want to sell it, right? So any like them showing up to begin with is a great thing. Like then like for example when Carlotta showed up in 2 points like in Chacona's patch. Like that was great. That was amazing. That means they didn't forget about her, and that means she's active and she's just chilling around. And obviously this is completely ignored because like something I just noticed recently. Honestly, I didn't like. I think I always know this in the back of my mind, but I didn't really pay it much attention. Is the fact that we only experience small portions of Rover's life in Wuthering Waves. Like Rover's daily life has so much more stuff happening, but we only experience like small moments of it. So like he goes out with other characters, he meets them, they hang out, they just do random stuff, and they just chill, like Abby says. But we just don't see it, right? We don't see it because it's not something like I think this is a problem, right? I think this is a problem. It needs to be addressed, but not like it's not a problem that would break the main story. It's not something that would belong in the main stories. Just do hangouts. I think they should add like hangout quests or like repeatable events that you can do with characters. Like that's something that I think should exist, right, in the story. Or you just like go out with other characters, just like chill with them and like do like bonding events. Maybe that could be like a way to farm intimacy. like the system that's completely ignored since 1.0, and it just doesn't make any sense. Where you just like you just gain intimacy as XP, which is weird. I don't think that makes sense. I think intimacy should be tied to like a bonding system. So like if you guys don't know, intimacy is the currency that's like an experience point system that unlocks background stories for characters. So like their backstories, like their precious items, their it's a very like important system that unlocks a lot of lore that isn't mentioned anywhere else. So like I think that should be a thing that should exist, yeah. But I don't think that WoA has a problem including older characters in the story, especially since the next patch, 2.7, is about to be the biggest Avengers Endgame moment in all of Wuthering Waves. Probably even bigger than 1.0's finale, where all resonators from 1.0 gathered to fight off against the Ovathrax invasion. And let's continue reading, okay? Their character stories also seem to have stagnated in favor of advertising the current focus resonator. I couldn't disagree more, and the storyline with Phoebe and her faith seems to have completely stagnated with no real sign of progress after the Averardo Bank exploration quest. Again, I feel like you've missed the point here. Like, have you seen the ending of Phoebe's quest in like the island, in Riacoli Island or whatever they call it? At the end, she leaves her hat behind and just goes like away with Rover. Like they just go on and chill somewhere. Like she doesn't care for the Order anymore. She found out about their deception. She found out about how it's like very flawed. She found out about, and now recently she must like, and she wasn't called back to Raguna yet. And we find out actually that in 2.4, right? 2.4 tells us in an exploration quest, if you go talk to Lenore, she tells us that Phoebe hasn't returned from Riacoli Island. She's still there. She's just chilling. She doesn't care for the Order anymore. Her story has concluded. Her arc has been went through. And this is like something that you would know if you actually knew what Phoebe was inspired by. Because Phoebe was inspired by a character called Ecclesia. And she is she's like a card from like a card story in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ecclesia the Virtuous. And she basically, her character arc is that she finds out that her faith is corrupt and eventually stands up to fight against it. And like obviously that's what's gonna happen with Phoebe in 2.7. She's going to help us in the fight against Leviathan and the corrupted in the dark tide, which is the thing that corrupted her faith. Obviously. So Phoebe is not like unfinished or ignored or stagnated. She's actually like just her arc is over, and it's like the conclusion is gonna come in 2.7 with a bunch of other characters, right? Because right now if we view them in a vacuum, it just doesn't make sense, right? But in 2.7, which is going to be the finale, obviously, because we're looking at a non-finalized product and we're judging it based as if it's over, even though it's not. After the Averardo Bank exploration quest, this is a problem shared with every resonator currently available in the game. Nonsense. This is completely wrong. I disagree hard. I really disagree. This is nonsense. Like, this is not a problem that's currently available in this game. I mean, like, who gives a shit? Like, at this point, who gives a shit about what, like, if we're gonna talk about, like, character stories, we need to talk about characters who aren't in the story. Like Calcharo, for example, or like Dungeon. Those guys are not even in the story. Like, those guys are the ones who need more attention. Like, for example, if Cantarella got like an entire companion quest and was a main figure in the main quest, why should she get more content when like Dungeon doesn't exist in the story and she's been there since 1.0? If Buling, who was in 2.4, yeah, 2.4, and showed up again in 2.6 as a Black Shores agent of all people, why should she get more screen time when Calcharo, who hasn't been able to be shown on screen at all in the main story? I disagree. I don't think that this problem is shared with every resonator, because their arcs have concluded, their stories have finished, and now they're just doing their daily lives and waiting for the next time they meet Rover. Obviously, Carlotta is what we also like have heard of them. It's not that they stopped existing in the world or in the universe, right? Like for example, Chang Li, we heard about her from Cantarella. Carlotta has been, or like the Montellis or Carlotta, she has been. They have been mentioned by Iuno, and like you can tell that the world is connected. You can tell like obviously the Black Shores have been like contacting us after 2.5, and they contacted. We sent Cartithia to the Black Shores, and if we go to back to the Black Shores after that, we can see her there after 2.4. So it's kind of, you know, this doesn't make sense. Obviously, like every other, to say that every other resonator has like their sign, the story has stagnated and they have no real signs of progress doesn't really make any sense in my opinion, because their stories have ended, like have concluded. Obviously, except for example, characters like Frolova or other characters who are going like Artethia, who's like main story is connected to the actual main plot line of Wuthering Waves. Those characters have not had their moments yet, and therefore will show up again in the future and finish the story. Alright, so let's continue. However, narratively, it would not make sense for any previous characters to show up yet, which indicates to me that the issue is foundational. Okay? I'm aware that by this point, as 2.x has completed production and it's on the final checks phase, which is why all my hopes are on the 3 up. Putting special attention to Resonator Phoebe, as there are 3 versions in her, and the crisis with her face still not being resolved. Again, we talked about this, like, her crisis with face has been resolved. It has been resolved. She hasn't returned from Riccoli Island. She doesn't care to go back. Right? Even though, like she said it before, she said that she went to Riccoli Island to find Cetus the Tidebreaker. She didn't go there for any other reason. She just went there for Cetus, right? And even though now we know Cetus is safe and it's fine, and like it's not like in any unless you count what happened with in that one for Lova shorts, then like you would say that Cetus is safe, and yet Phoebe did not return, even though her we know that Cetus is fine and well, and it's back to the waters in Rinashira. She did not go back. She's still there, which means she doesn't want to go back. There's nothing stopping her from going back, and that also like with the symbolism of her hat being left on the ground with the Leviathan crown around her hat being left on the ground as she went away. I think it's pretty clear that like she stopped caring about the order. She stopped. Like her faith has been like completely resolved. Like she believes that the Sentinel is not someone who would be that strict or who would do all those things that the Faith do. But yeah, especially after the Averardo Bank arc, where she already found out like the problem with the Order. Like we already talked about, like we already saw that she found out what happens with the people who were chased away by the Order and were hidden in the Montelli vault. But yeah, let's keep going. Bring back companion quests for Resident. I agree. Mandatory clears. I disagree with that one. I don't think companion quests should be mandatory clears. No, I disagree. I don't think anything I don't think anything should be mandatory at all to progress the story, especially if clearing the story is important to get to new areas which might have materials for players to collect and build their resonators. Because if you're locking story away, you're locking areas away, you're locking materials away, and new players who come in and pull new characters can't build their characters because now they have to go through the entire story and this additional companion quests which they don't care about just to get to the materials they need. And then we're gonna have like a bunch of story skippers, and we're gonna have a bunch of problems in the community, and it's gonna be hell. Alright? Let's just keep going. I don't think that's a good idea at all. PGR has done this. I'm sure WoWa can also do this. I'm not an expert on PGR. I played casually back in the day a long time ago. And I do know that the story gets good at some point, but I don't think comparing PGR, which has a stage-based exploration system, It's not even an exploration system. It's just stages. You just select a stage and go do the mission. I don't think that's that's because you're not looked away from having materials just to level up your character. You can always level up your character. There's no this issue with the with leveling characters does not exist in PGR. So yeah. Um, that way, the main story can have more ensemble cast of characters, and so the story doesn't feel so lacking, and you still have the opportunity to create more strong solo character moments. Because admittedly, story feels like a companion quest rather than. I could not disagree more. And this is like something I've seen a few times, right? And I've given it like some thoughts. I've really thought about it for a moment, and I am of the opinion that being a companion story or companion quest would make would make the entire quest boring and pointless and even more of a waifu collect moment rather than anything impactful. Why? Because it would miss the point. Many players would then miss the point that this is also Rover's story and Lilibeth's story and Avidius's story. It's not just Iuno's quests. It's filled to the brim with moments that are shared between Rover, between Avidius, and between Lilibet. And those are very important moments which contribute to the world building. Though I would say if they had to like make this quest something else that isn't the main quest, I would say it would fit the criteria of an event quest, kind of like Chacona's was. Even though like the reason I think they didn't make it an event quest is because there isn't an event, right? There was no event, there was no special reward, there was no special mechanics. You just went through the story and you just saved right? But the problem with putting this as a companion story would detract from the impact it has on the main story as Rover's arc happens there. And as we see the consequences of 2.5 reflected on him, as he suddenly in many lines where like he expresses how he doesn't want to lose anybody right now. He doesn't want to lose anyone, and he's tired of loss, and he will never like be satisfied with a bad ending, etc., etc. So that would be overshadowed and would just be completely overlooked if it's just a companion quest. And we can't just point to it later on the line when other when other people start making opinions. Eventually, when other events are eventually going to happen in the future, that would show a drastic change in Rover's character, and they would say, "Oh no, this moment was not built up, and no, this moment was not did not have any build up. This change in character is so unpredictable, it doesn't make sense, la la la," and like we're gonna be stuck here trying to explain it to them why that crucial moment that like foreshadowed Rover's character arc is in a companion quest instead of the main quest. All right, so that's my opinion. Let's go back. I do agree that they should bring back more companion quests, but I don't think they should be mandatory. That's all I'm saying. Hold on. The feeling prevalent in all Wuthering Waves story quests, but it feels especially strong with Iuno. I would like this to stop. Again, I don't think that adds up at all. Like we said, like what do you mean? Like is this prevalent in all Wuthering Waves story quests? Like in through 2.3. Cartithia was the main focus. Obviously, was it 2.3? I think it was 2.3, yeah. So Cartithia was the main focus, right? And then we had a moment with Zani. So like, to say that Cartithia, I don't think I might be mistaking things. I might be misremembering things, but I don't think Avinolium was just about Cartithia. It was choke full of world building. It was choke full of Cancerella moments. It was choke full of Rover moments, and it really highlighted what Rover's character and how it will evolve in the future. So again, I think this just comes down to like a lack of or misremembering or like a lack of understanding of the main story quest's points or what the writers are trying to convey to the main story quest. And like this is 2.3. If we go back like to 2.0, again we see like a plenty of characters. There was Brands, there was Roxia or Rochia or whatever however you pronounce her name. You see, I usually call her Roxia, but we see Roxia, we see Brands, we've seen Carlotta, we've heard of the Thessalias, we've seen obviously Frolova, who was the main highlight. We've seen Cristoforo showed up there. 2.0 was chock full of characters, and there was so many things happening. Like, and then like you have 2.1, which had Brands and Roxia, and then you have Cantarella show up eventually, and like she's not just alone. She has Catithia with her, and then you have Lupa, who was with Iuno and Augusta in the same patch. Like they've shown them there, and like, and then after like Lupa, we've had like Catithia moments. There was Frolova, there was Scar, there was Cristoforo showing up, and then we like after that. I mean, you can see where I'm going with this, right? Like this is not true. It just doesn't make sense for you to make this claim because it's not true. It's like to say that it's a feeling prevalent in all of Wuthering Waves story quests is just wrong. They're not companion quests. It just doesn't make sense. It even feels like Augusta, who was the main focus of part 1, was completely vanished in part 2. We literally saw her. Obviously, say for a few minutes appearance. Why would she care about someone who doesn't remember her? The entire point of part 2 of 2.6 is that nobody at all remembers Iuno except Rover. And he's going to be the one anchoring her to bring her back. And like we're saying here that like Augusta should do something, and like why would she? I mean, she gave Rover the hint, and she literally herself expressed that this bracelet he showed her doesn't remind her of anybody. Like she doesn't have any memories of Iuno at all. So like I don't know. I feel like you're just reaching here and you're trying to like make this a problem even though it isn't. Like I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyways, let's keep going. It is my hope that in version 3.0, all these issues are addressed because this game has some other aspects I would like to give feedback on. No, dude. I like this is kind of like feedback that you read, right? Like you can see the points being raised, but then once you like look into it a little bit and like try to understand it a little bit, it falls apart. Like it just falls apart because this is not what we need in the story of Wuthering Waves. This is not what would make the story better. In my opinion, at least, as a lore enthusiast, as someone who's been like paying really close attention recently, and I've been like going back and reading through a lot of stuff and like trying to like grasp everything, I don't think this is what would make the story better. I think what would make the story better is for them to stick to the narrative that's been like put in 2.6 part 2 story, where here's what happens. Story quest begins. There is a problem. There is an immediate problem. There's an immediate issue, right? Rover investigates the issue, right? Finds out the issue with the help of other characters, right? Goes through the necessary character development moments to get themselves in the personality or in the mood to fix the issue, right? And then goes on and fixes the issue. The issue must have real stakes. If Rover fails, it's Jover. But there's also he must also succeed in solving the issue, because taking away success from like the story just makes it unfulfilling. For example, for Lova's quest, a lot of people didn't like the ending. It's not like a lot of people were left hanging, right? Including myself. Like I felt like obviously there's like a certain beauty to it about how it ended, about how not everything can be like roses and flowers and shit, but there's still people out there who got left unfulfilled because they expected their favorite character to have a better ending, right? Like they want their character. People play this game not to get depression. People play this game to like enjoy themselves and have fun and just, chill with pretty pretty characters and look at pretty scenes and enjoy the combats and enjoy the story. They don't want to play this game just to cry and like. I don't think this is the type of game or the type of reputation that Wuthering Waves have gathered over the years. Particularly Rover, right? Rover has been like described as an aura farmer like since the beginning, right? It's been like such a great character who does it like always succeeds, who always finds the way to go, always aura farms, has like the greatest has been described as a really 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 like cool character, like this specific type of cool. But to take that away from him and like make him flawed, that was a decision, and I respect that by the writers. And I think that was like an important decision to make because it would show us that in the future there might be more flaws coming from Rover. And even when they showed his flaws, he was not wrong. He was still right, like in the morality sense. He was right to do what he did in 2.5. And to go back to like a previous point, this highlights his character arc. This highlights his character arc, and it shows us that eventually, like, they know what they're doing. This is what I'm talking about. Like, they tell us that they know what they're doing and they know where they're going, and they're giving their characters a like love. They give them love. They know like they're taking them somewhere. Now the thing is, here's the part that we're like this is my take on the topic. What would make like the story even better? I think characters should also have character development moments, right? This is what like took away a little bit from my personal enjoyments from the game, the game story, since like 1.0, right? For example, I'll give you an example so that you guys can understand me better. For example, I think in Changli's quest, right towards the end, when she's like, "Don't worry, this story is almost over" or something like that, and like she tells Rover that, "Okay, chill, dude, I'm gonna deal with this. Don't worry, trust me." And like, she wasn't like someone who would doubt herself to begin with, right? She was always like that. She was always like confident of herself, of her ability. She didn't care. She didn't. Obviously, we've been through her story and we've seen how she was like a child, and how she gained that confidence over the years. But like now, it was that point where we had to like see Rover step up and tell her it's okay. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Let other people help you. That sort of thing, right? So like, and then like she would understand like that. Maybe sometimes, it's okay not to do everything by yourself. It's okay to like give other people, to give other people like the chance to also prove themselves to you. Because now she's just back at square one. There was no development in her character, except that now she knows that Rover was like the guy who was in Mount Tournament. So, and then like for example, Jinshi's quest had like a proper character development moment. Like this entire time we've seen how Jinshi was like this timid girl who didn't really, she wasn't really sure of herself. She had doubts. She had like, even though she had the resolution to do stuff, she always was doubtful of herself and of her ability, of her everything. And then we've had that moment when she like stood up to like Zhu and was like, if anybody's gonna fight you, it's me. And like, bring it on. We're gonna fight, and I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna be worthy of your power. And that was like such a cool moment that I still remember it to this day. And I think that it sticks with you when characters break character and they have this character development moment, right? For example, Carlotta, right? Again, in 2.0, we've seen this. Carlotta, she tried to build trust with Rover, right? From the beginning. She like showed up, she like introduced herself and like talked to us and did stuff. Like, she built trust with Rover over time. So when that moment came, right? When the order like stopped her and were like, kill Rover, and like, we're gonna give you you have to kill Rover or you're gonna get exiled and stuff, right? That moment was very impactful, I think, in the story. And like, people were like, I actually myself, at least I'll talk about myself, I was actually concerned that she might do that, right? I was actually concerned that her character might take such a turn, right? And I was surprised when she actually found a way to like solve the crisis. Like, I didn't expect her to just like shoot and control her bullet and make it seem so that the bullets ricochet and like turn and gave Rover like the gem and message and stuff. it was such a cool character development moment that showed us that Carlotta, even though it was like empowering to Carlotta, it was not like something that would make her go back or like take a step back in terms of character and reflect upon herself. We saw that moment happen in the mirror, right? When she had to take a step back and look upon her desires, her wants, and like see herself from another perspective. So those are the character moments that actually matter, and I wish they add more of in the story, right? This is the part where, like for example, the writing of Cartethia again. That was such a cool moment when Rover was like, "I prefer to do this my way." Like he doesn't want to kill Cartethia, he wants to save her and save Inashira at the same time. He doesn't want to sacrifice one for the many or many for the one. He wants to save everybody. So this is like the cool the moments that really make Cartethia herself and make the characters in general, right? I think we need more of those because I think Augusta completely failed at that. Like her character, I do like her character, I do like the concept, but it's boring. It's boring. I'm not gonna lie to you. Making her backstory like video made me physically like sigh in like displeasure in boredom. I had to quit. Like I had to like continuously delay this. I had to continuously like sit out the character making the character video because I did not enjoy making it. There was nothing interesting happening. She just, unbreakable will, strong power, all the sun touches is ours to fight for. We are heroes. We are cool. And that's basically her entire character. There was nothing there. The only cool moments that I've like actually found out about her character wasn't even in the main story itself. It was in her backstory. It's in like lines that are obscured by intimacy system and that you'll never see like if you don't actually pull the character herself. At least not in game. If you don't look it up, you can't find it. So this backstory moment of Augusta that actually gives her depth is when the first time she heard the whispers in Septimons, when she was like fighting against Kato, like for the like continuously falling to Kato's blade and like trying to defeat him to prove herself. That was the first time she heard the whispers of like the dark tide, and they actually affected her. She like she like fell. She was afraid. She was scared. She passed out. She like blacked out. She couldn't see anything. She couldn't even remember how many times she fell. And it was very dark, very sad, very scary. And then she heard the whispers, and they encouraged her to get up. They told her, like, remember this feeling, this weakness, this sadness, this despair. Remember it well, because only by knowing weakness can you know true strength. And that is what ignited her fire, and that made her like get up. So like this moment, this dark moment where she had to go through a character arc internally within herself with Leviathan's whispers, with the Dark Tide's whispers. And like and then later figured out that she had to deny those whispers even though they helped her before. Those are moments that should have been in the story, but they were never highlighted. Instead, we got this very cardboard-ish character that is all about glory, fame, power, humanity, leadership, weak forte, but we can still persevere because humanity's will is uncontested, and all this nonsense, which, dude, I just find very boring. I'm sorry. And like we got this in Iuno's quest, right? In Iuno's quest, we got some very cool moments. Like for example, when we find out that her mother died in that way, right? And like she foresaw the death of her mother, and she closed her eyes because she couldn't handle it. Like as a child, she couldn't handle that. And then we saw like moments where she had to give away prophecies to people whom she knew were doomed anyways. And like she had to lie to children, or she had to like. Those are moments that are very touching, and they're very dark, and they're very cool, and they give the character depth and like everything like that. So, for like what Wuthering Waves needs is more of those moments to to focus on the character patch and give them depth, right? Because if we're just gonna keep bringing back older characters again and again, then you have nothing, like you're not gonna make up anything new. Their backstory has already been revealed. We have their lore already. We already know most of the things about them. What are they gonna do now? Like, what we're gonna do? For example, let's say Carlotta showed up in 2.6. What's she gonna do? Why is she there? What's the point? Like, let's say, for example, Camellia showed up in 2.6. What's her reasoning? Why isn't she in like the Black Shores being treated for her madness? Like, let's say Encore was in 2.6. Would Rover really allow Encore to fight alongside him or do anything there? No, like it doesn't make sense for any of them to show up, right? It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't really increase or decrease the value of their character or the writing or anything, in my opinion. And I think that what we need is more character-focused moments that give them depth and that highlight their backstories for other people to read. And yeah, that's my TED Talk. This was my analysis of Anxient's posts. So if you guys... I should make this very clear. I should make this very, very clear. Do not, under any circumstance, take what I said as an insult to Anxient or as a sort of like ratio or something. Even though like I have no intention of starting anything like that. It's completely just a way for me to share my opinion on their take. They can be valid. I can be valid. Like this is like a matter of argument, not a matter of attack me. I attack you. Okay, it's just a matter of like talking about a video game that I like and a video game that other people play. That's all there is to it. There is no hidden motifs here. Alright? So keep it this way. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and watch my other lore videos on Wuthering Waves. Please head to Twitter, give Anxient a follow, and give me a follow if you want. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.